Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Emily Brontë. Happy birthday to you. Hello, everyone. It's Audrey. I know it's been a long time since I last posted a video, and I figured, hey, my most popular video to date so far has been my Jane Eyre adaptations video, which I posted in honor of Charlotte Bronte's birthday. And tomorrow is the birthday of her sister Emily, who wrote just one novel, Wuthering Heights, but still managed to leave a legacy regarding English literature. I read Wuthering Heights about a year ago, and I wasn't as keen on it. I was just really taken off guard by how dark the story was and by how complex it was, by the fact that all the characters had similar sounding names. But I definitely think it's worth reading if you can tolerate the dark stuff. And I get why people have adapted this book, as well as other classics, to the screen. And so today, to honor Emily, I would like to examine two adaptations of Wuthering Heights, the 1939 film and the 1992 film. And once again, I might give away details about the story, so just be warned if you don't want any spoilers. All right. First of all, I do want to look at character portrayals, starting with Catherine Earnshaw. In 1939, this character was played by Meryl Oberon, and in 1992, she was played by Juliette Binoche. Oberon's Kathy was not super insufferable. In the book, Catherine is very tyrannical and hot-tempered and sort of just bosses people around. I'm I feel like Oberon's Kathy wasn't quite as bad or as hard to or as easy to hate. And I think the filmmakers did that on purpose because they wanted to make Catherine a little more sympathetic. And I think Meryl Oberon is definitely a very beautiful actress, and she does look like the character. Um, she does capture Kathy's pride. Catherine is a very proud character, and she is very jealous about Heathcliff. And so I think Oberon was a very good Catherine overall. Maybe she just could have had a little bit more of Catherine's hot-temperedness, but she did have Catherine's selfishness and pride. In 1992, Julie Binoche started off too giggly, especially during the scene where she comes back from the Lintons and she's basically just rubbing her silk gloves down Heathcliff's dirty jacket and giggling. And then she just looks at her gloves like, ooh, they're dirty, when Heathcliff just sullenly walks away. But her acting did improve as the story went on. There's this one scene in particular where she and Isabella are arguing because Kathy sees Isabella is starting to fall for Heathcliff, and Kathy kind of is like, Heathcliff is mine. And then when they run into him, Kathy's like, oh, we've been quarreling like cats and dogs about you. My poor sister-in-law is breaking her heart over here. And she's so mean-spirited about the way she does it. And then she just throws a key into the fire that her husband wants her to give her and just looks at him unashamed or feigned innocence. And then she gets annoying. So her acting, as I said, did improve as the story went on. But again, she just kind of mm, at the beginning didn't quite dissolve into the character at first. So I'm going to have to give the win for this one to Meryl Oberon. Next character, Heathcliff. 1939, Laurence Olivier. 1992, Rafe finds. Excuse me. Olivier definitely captures Heathcliff's antisocial, sullen, stoic side, but because of the way the script was written, we didn't see him really get to be a sadistic psychopath or a manipulative, violent person and the violent master of Wuthering Heights. But I feel his Heathcliff can be a little more sympathetic at times. Especially there's this one scene where Kathy comes to Wuthering Heights because she hears rumors that he might marry Isabella, and she's like, "Please tell me it's not true." And he says, um, I'm forgetting the exact wording, but basically, "You're going to deprive me of my one chance to be happy." And he does it in a way where you can feel sympathetic for him, but overall, his Heathcliff still isn't likable, which, good, because I don't think Heathcliff's supposed to be a likable character. 1992, Fiennes did get the chance to be sadistic and violent, and he took advantage of it. Um, and his Heathcliff beforehand as well is like Olivier's, very surly, antisocial, withdrawn. And so I think both of them are equally good. This is a tie. The one thing I would critique for both of them is the scene where Kathy dies and he says, "I can't live without my life. I can't live without my soul." I feel they should have been more hysterical. In the book, Heathcliff yells and bangs his head against a tree. Oof. I don't think they should have done the latter, but I think they should have been a little more vocal with their grief. Next up, we've got Edgar Linton. 1939's David Niven is very charming and he is very classy, and you get why Catherine would fall for him. And he also shows this coldness, but he also tries to be polite when Heathcliff comes back after mysteriously disappearing for several years. And you do get the sense that he is a loving husband to Kathy and he's trying to help her and do what's best for her, even though she can be a difficult wife. Simon Shepherd captures these elements as well. You see more annoyance regarding Heathcliff's presence with him, and you do get to see him be a father to his and Kathy's daughter. And so I'm going to have to give the verdict, I think, to Simon Shepherd for this one. So tough. They're both good, but part of it is that 39 and 92 have different scripts that focus on different things. And I'll talk more about that later. Next up, Isabella Linton, Edgar's sister. Geraldine Fitzgerald from 1939 captures Isabella's girlishness and naivete and her good natured, assuming the best of everyone. And she is appalled when Kathy and her brother treat Heathcliff with coldness upon his returning, just like in the book. And you can tell she's trying to be warm and friendly to him, but she takes it too far. She lets herself get infatuated with him, think she's falling in love with him. Sorry. And okay, I lost my train of thought there. Fitzgerald's Kathy sorry, Isabella marries Heathcliff only to realize that he still has feelings for Kathy, and she's just kind of sad and feeling unloved. But it seems like Heathcliff is not as horrible husband to her as he could be. But you can tell Isabella is kind of bitter over her marriage. And in 1992, Sophie Ward, she kind of is just in a couple scenes, but we don't get much insight into her character. The one place where she really stands out is this one scene where Nellie visits Wuthering Heights after Isabella's marriage, and Isabella's all beat up because Heathcliff's mistreating her, and she's clearly bitter and enraged over her marriage, over what she's done, and over her husband. And she feels like death is the only thing left for her. And I think I'm gonna have to give the win to this one for Geraldine Fitzgerald because she got more attention and there was more time to thus see more of her as a character. Hindley Earnshaw, Catherine's brother. 1939's Hugh Williams is excellent. He is, I'm sorry about that. He's very cruel to Heathcliff, and he's constantly drunk. But then when Heathcliff starts to take over Wuthering Heights, you can see Williams, his Henley, starts to fall apart and feel all fragile. Versus Jeremy Northam in the 1992 one, he appears in a couple scenes. You can see him, his face sort of trying to process his wife dying in childbirth, but he's not really in much of the film, so I'm going to have to give the win to this one for this to Hugh Williams. 39's been taking the lead. All right. Now we have Nellie Dean, the narrator of Wuthering Heights, Flora Robson in 1939, and Janet McTeer in 1982. Robson narrates the story, but she kind of is just taking it in the whole time when we see her in real time as a supporting character, watching Catherine and Heathcliff grow up, hearing Catherine confess that she loves Heathcliff but has chosen to marry Edgar. But she just seems kind of like, and almost a what did to do type of attitude for most of the book. Janet McTeer doesn't narrate the story, and I'll explain why later. So she has more of a supporting role, and her Nellie is somewhat blunt, but you can also tell she's very caring and she's very steady. So a lot like the book Nellie. And last but not least, let's look at these movies as a whole. The 1939 film is iconic. It's not as emotionally intense, and it only covers the first half of the story, ending with Catherine's death. Um, the music is really great. The chemistry between Oberon and Olivier is really good. And it basically paints Wuthering Heights as a tragic love story. 1992's Wuthering Heights covers the whole book. So Catherine's death is about, oof, I want to say 45 minutes to an hour into the story, because the movie's an hour and 45 minutes long in total. And so the rest of the book covers the story of her daughter and her nephew Hareton. Excuse me. I think the score for this one is really, really well done as well. Um, the ending is kind of rushed though. Um, but one artistic choice they made, I know a lot of people complained about it when I read reviews of this movie, but I actually liked it, is that as, as I said before, Nellie doesn't narrate the story in this one, but instead it starts with Emily Brontë coming across the ruins of Wuthering Heights, and she tells the story as she's standing amid the ruins and thinking about what were the people who lived here like. And so, as wonderful as the 1939 movie is, I actually think I might like the 1992 one better because because it covers the full story. I like it better it's in color. I like the choice to have Emily Brontë tell the story and the way they incorporated her, but also because I think it was more accurate to what the themes of the book are. That Wuthering Heights is not necessarily a tragic romance, as it is about these two people, Kathy and Heathcliff, who let their let their passions for each other override what they know to be right, and how that harms not only themselves but their descendants. And so basically you can see more of this idea of the legacy they leave and the impact it leaves behind. And that is what I think Wuthering Heights is about. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know which of these two adaptations you preferred. What's your take on Wuthering Heights in general? And thank you so much for watching, and God bless, and happy birthday again, Emily Brontë. Goodbye.